by that time we realised that his back legs were gone. And when the back legs go, that's the end, really. Hi everyone, it's Mel here and welcome back to Mel's Blind Life, the YouTube channel all about blindness. It's been ages since I have sat here in front of the camera and just talked to you, but it's been 14 months since this event took place, so I figured that I should get around to sitting down and talking about it. So everyone, those of you who are new to this channel, I am completely blind. I am a guide dog handler. I have been handling guide dogs for 10 years as at the 29th of October 2022. And I am currently on my second guide dog, whose name is Penelope, and she is currently over there. I don't know if you can see her. She's sleeping on the bed with the cat. And she is absolutely gorgeous. Love her to bits. She's a female yellow lab. She's very pretty, very photogenic, and she's just a really great worker as well. We've been together since the 7th of October 2019, and there is a playlist on my channel about getting Penny and some of my training and stuff with her. But before that, I had received my first guide dog when I was 18, literally 3 days out of school, and his name was Darcy. He worked for 6 years. He had some health complications during that time, and I was just very blessed to have him as a first guide dog. He was so chilled. He was just really good at what he did, really steady, really, comfortable with working and following my lead. And he was a really good first guide dog for everybody, for anybody who had not had a guide dog before. He was just fantastic. But he retired in February of 2019, and I waited until October to get Penelope, which is fine. But I was lucky enough to keep him in his retirement until the dreadful day came that I had to have him put to sleep. And it was the worst day. I'm not going to say the worst day of my life, because it was, that's hard to say, but it was a really traumatic day and experience. So I thought that I'd bring you guys up to date with how it happened and what happened and everything. And hopefully, because it's 14 months, I'm not going to cry. So let's see how we go. So Darcy was born on the 7th of December 2010 at Guide Dogs Victoria in Melbourne. I was matched with him on the 29th of October in 2012. We started class, so just before he turned 2. And like I said before, he retired in February of 2019, and I kept him. Now, for those of you who don't know this, I was living on my own at the time in a town called Mildura, which is on the border between New South Wales and Victoria. And about nearly 2 years ago now, just about 20 months ago, I moved back to my parents' house in Kyneton, and which is about an hour north of the capital of Victoria, Melbourne. And I had Penelope, who was obviously working, my 2 cats, my horse, and Darcy with me when I moved back, as well as half a house worth of furniture and kitchen appliances and all of that sort of thing. I'm not going to go into why I left my apartment in Mildura. The video explaining that I will link in the description. Anyway, it was nice being home, and Darcy was able to enjoy retirement with my mum's dog called Sheik. That's Sheik. And Sheik and Darcy were a similar age. Mum actually got Sheik in July of 2012, and I got Darcy in October. So, you know, they were quite close in age and experience and everything. And it was just nice, you know, for Darcy to have Sheik to hang around with, and it was all lovely. And anyway, cut to the chase. So in July last year, after we'd been living back in Kyneton with Mum and Dad, I took Darcy and Penelope out to the horse stables with me for the afternoon, because, you know, I liked taking them out there as much as I could, and Darcy liked going out to the stables as well. He was really good around the horses and everything. Anyway, we took him there and we went and did some work with the horse, and we just left the dogs in the car, obviously with the windows down and everything. And we went back to the car, and Darcy had this enormous growth that had suddenly come up on his face, in, you know, like in the chin area, I suppose, of his face. And it was like, oh my God, where did this big abscess thing come from? So Saturday afternoon in the country, no vets are open except for, you know, emergencies. So we phoned around, we found a vet who was in town. It wasn't my regular vet. We took him there, and we discovered that he had this abscess, and it was obviously, you know, gross like abscesses are, and it needed lancing, so it needed to be cut open and drained and everything. So the vet said to me, oh, well, I can do it on Monday. And I said, I'll take him to my regular vet, who was out of town for the weekend but would be back by Monday, if that's all right, and we'll see what he says, because I've been using this particular vet for 28 years. My mother used him for all of her dogs. I use him for my dogs while I've been living here. We've had a lot of animals go through that veterinary clinic. He's looked after at least 3 of our, including Darcy, he has looked after 3 of our dogs from guide dog matching to death, basically. So I wanted him to go to this vet. So we did. We took him in on Monday, and our vet looked at him and he said, oh, yes, it does need lancing, but we won't do it until, you know, Wednesday or Thursday, because it wasn't quite ready to be done. So on the Thursday he went in and he had the surgery. For some reason or other, I can't remember, I was away. I think I was working, and Mum went and picked him up from the vet and brought him home and everything. And he was, he was normal after an anaesthetic for a 10.5-year-old dog. He was tired and everything, but he was fine. And the vet put him on antibiotics and said, oh, we'll monitor him. So he was okay. He was quite lethargic and everything after the anaesthetic, and he recovered. And he was on the antibiotics for a week. And then when they finished, we thought, all right, excellent. This is over. He had a little drain in the wound, which we took out on the Monday, after he'd had the surgery. And like I said, he went off the antibiotics on the Thursday, the week after. And he was fine. He slowly started getting back to normal. Obviously, he had, shaved bits from, having the surgery, but he was fine. And then probably about a week later, he just went downhill. He was really, really sick. He was lethargic. He wasn't getting up. He was... I was concerned that he wasn't eating. He also sounded like he was having trouble, breathing, and we think that was because of the swelling. He had a lot of swelling around his neck and everything, sort of in his lymph nodes in his neck, and so he sounded like he was having trouble breathing, and he was making sort of a snoring noise. Would be the only way to describe it, both on inhalation and exhalation. And it was really, really concerning that he suddenly went downhill again. And I called the vet, and he came and took bloods and looked at him and everything. And he did the blood tests, and he said there's nothing other than the infection. So obviously, we thought that perhaps he'd been taken off the antibiotics too quickly. So we took him off, and we took him and put him back on the antibiotics, and he improved again. And so a week after, he got better, and he was playing with Penny and Chic, and he was doing really, really well. And then he got sick again. And now we're up to the first weekend of August. So last year I actually did a life update video, which I filmed and published on the 8th of August, which was the Sunday. And in that video, he'd already become very, very sick again, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know whether I should be filming that video because I wasn't sure, what was going to happen with Darcy, but I still did it anyway. I said that he'd been sick and that we thought he was going to be okay. So that was the Sunday, the 8th, that I filmed that. The day before that, on the 7th of August, we had the vet come out again because he'd gone downhill again. And the vet said, I'm thinking that possibly what's happened is he's become resistant to the antibiotics. So we put him on a different type of antibiotic, and he took the first one on the Saturday night, and then he took, I don't think he took the one on the Sunday morning. And we tried, giving it to him in his favourite food. We had mashed potato for lunch that day, and he loved chips and potato cakes and stuff like that. So I'll insert a video somewhere here of him having what might have, I thought at the time, might have been his last supper, as it were, which was chips, bacon, and some carrots. So this is probably the last film I have of him alive, and it was taken about 10 days before he died. This pal, hey, dinner with all your favourite things. There you go. Some bacon and some chips and some carrot. Just steady. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. Just steady. So in that, you can see he's still eating. He's still upright. You can hear his breathing doesn't sound too good. And I was telling him to, eat slowly and everything, because I was just concerned about his breathing. Anyway, back to the 7th of August. We tried to get him to have his antibiotic in the mashed potato on the Sunday, and he didn't eat a lot. He ate a little bit of it, and I put it in the fridge, and I tried to get him to eat it another 3 or 4 times, but he just wasn't eating. He was really quite sick by this time. Anyway, that night, after I'd filmed that life update video and I went to bed, he, went to bed normal, slept on the foot of the bed all night as he usually did. And there, I was still quite worried about him, but I thought maybe he'd get better. Maybe in the morning he'll be a bit better. And I woke up that morning and he didn't want to get out of bed. I called him to go out to the toilet, as I did every single morning, and he wouldn't get up. And so I went and got a lead, and I put him on a lead, and I asked him to get up, and he still couldn't get up. And Mum and I ended up trying to get him up together, and we got him out of the room and into the living room. But by that time we realised that his back legs were gone. And when the back legs go, that's the end, really. So we put him on his mat where he was comfortable, and it was only like 7:30 in the morning at that stage, so we waited a couple of hours and we called the vet. And the vet came and he said that it was very obvious that he had some kind of a lymph node cancer. I can't remember the exact name of it. I think he called it lymphocytic lymphoma or something like that. It was a cancer of the lymph node system, and it can also play havoc with the immune system and the organs. And because his back legs had already gone, there was no chance that we could save him. So at 11:59 that morning, at 11:59 a.m. on the 9th of October last year, 2021, Darcy went to join all the beautiful guide dogs up in heaven. I said I wouldn't do this. It was the most tough decision, but in Darcy style, he made the decision. And he said, well, you've got to live with it, woman, because this is my decision. I'm going. And so we did give him some pain relief in the hours before. we did give him some pain relief, because the humor of the situation was that our vet had a broken arm at the time, and he couldn't carry him. You know, Darcy was not a small dog. He was a 32 kilogram Labrador, and so he wasn't easy to manipulate for a man with a broken arm. So the irony of the situation is that we had to wait a couple of hours for the vet's son to come and assist us with removing him from the house. So it was going to be a couple of hours before we could do that. So we didn't put him down then and there. The vet gave him some pain relief just to keep him comfortable for the few hours. So I had probably about 2.5 hours just lying with him on the floor, just telling him what he'd done, and, you know, just those last few hours to say goodbye. And for Penny to say goodbye, and, you know, for Mum and Dad to say goodbye to him too, because it wasn't easy for them either. You know, they'd been living with him for a lot of his life. I'd had him for almost 8 years. And Mum and Dad had been living with him for, you know, about 3.5 of those 8 years. So we all said goodbye, and then we carried him to the vet, and we did it. So since Darcy has passed, I've thought about making this video so many times, but it just hasn't happened. But I have got some really lovely things here to show you that remind me of him. So I will show you Darcy's things. I had Darcy cremated, and the camera is now looking at the box that his ashes are in. It's a really gorgeous, I think it's mahogany, box with silver, like markings in each of the corners. It's a box that is in the options from the people who cremated him, which I actually chose with my guide dog instructor at the time. Now, it has a plaque on it. I'm fairly sure it just says his name and his dates of birth and death. So the 7th of December 2010 till the 9th of August 2021. It is a lockable box. It does have a little key with it that you can unlock, and obviously the ashes are inside. I looked in it maybe twice just after he died, but I haven't opened it since. Then on the top of the box, there is a sock. Now, it might sound a bit strange for there to be this, I'm fairly sure it's black and, this white sock on the top of this box. But those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, there's a video somewhere that I'll link in the description as well, which is the time my guide dog ate a sock and nearly died. And he used to pick up socks and other things and carry them around the house. My parents called him the snowdropper because he was always picking up my underwear and carrying it around the house. So that's why there's a sock on the top of the box. So if ever I have odd socks, I put them on top of the box that Darcy's ashes are in until I find their partners. Anyway, it's just a weird little significant thing. And then on top is a photograph which my friend Judy from Living on Six Wheels did for me on her computer. So it's got a photo taken out of a photo of Darcy in his harness. Then it's on a red background, which is kind of like a material looking background, and that is a red color, the closest we could find in her photo editing thing on her computer to his house collar. And then around it are 12 paw prints to signify the year that I got him, which was 2012. And those grey paw prints are actually photos that we took of the paw print here that was done in ink in this gorgeous card from the people who cremated him. So they've done this paw print with him before they've cremated him, and we've taken a photo of that and put in the photo on top of his box. And then there's a certificate of cremation in the card as well that sits just behind the box there. So that is sort of like the memorial there.